Hello, my name is William, the Avid reader, and today I'm reviewing Treasure Island, written by Robert Louis Stevenson in 1883. So this is a Scottish author, and it's about a kid who finds a treasure map, a teenager who finds a treasure map, and a crew is assembled and journey to see this treasure island, but along the way people get killed and there are pirates involved and things like that. So before I continue, there will be spoilers in this review, okay? This is a short book. It's about a bit more than 200 pages, and there are 6 parts in it. So part 1 is where we get to see the character Billy Bones. So he's a former first mate to a pirate captain, and he's a drunk. He drinks a lot of rum, and we get to see the main character, who's called Jim Hawkins. So he's a teenager and protagonist, and he looks and he gets a job initially by Billy Bones to see if he can spot a man with one leg, and he gets paid for that regularly. And he doesn't, but we get to meet a man with a blind man with a stick. He dies eventually, but not before Billy Bones dies because he drinks too much rum. He eventually dies of apoplexy. So then and then in the first part still, there's a chase between the outlaws looking for the treasure, and then Jim Hawkins and also his mother, because the father died recently also. So Jim Hawkins gets to the place for the money and things like that first with his mother, and they take some money, but they also take the treasure map. Part 2, we get to see the preparations and introduced to a bunch of new characters. So we get to see Long Silver. So he's the one-legged man, and he has a walking stick. And then you also get to meet Dr. David Livesey. We got to meet him earlier. He's a doctor and a magistrate. And there's a wealthy squire John Trellaway, and there's Captain Alexander Smollett. And a crew of 26 is assembled, and they eventually sail. And the part 2 is about the preparations to this and the journey to the island. Jim Hawkins overhears a conversation between John Long Silver, that he is actually a pirate, and that he, along with most of the crew, are going to mutiny and take the ship and things like that. So Jim Hawkins reveals this to the good guys. So that's the Captain Alexander Smollett, who has been since the beginning suspicious of the crew. Dr. David Livesey, who's a former soldier, and also Squire John Trellaway, and he's a wealthy landowner. And they think that they have very few loyal men to the ship's leadership, and instead that they're loyal to this cook, John Silver. And the third part is they've arrived at the island, and you've got most of the so-called pirates, the soon-to-be mutineers, because they haven't mutinied yet, but they will. It is suspected that they will eventually. And they go on land, and Hawkins goes on land too. He hears the scream of one loyalist die, and then gets to see another killed by Long Silver himself. And the fourth part, a large part of it, is narrated by Dr. David Livesey. And it's about that the good guys have gathered in a cabin, and that there's been multiple shootouts. So the good guys get in a boat ashore, and there's a shooting exchange, and some of the guns are damaged. And then they found the cabin, and they're there. And you've got Jim Hawkins that eventually joins them. And then there's a flag of truce established by Long Silver that he wants to come to some terms of peace, and the captain refuses. So they have a shootout. Bad guys try to attack, and the ratio starts to becoming more and more in the favor of the good guys. So yes, that's the fourth part, and then the fifth part. So he's supposed to guard the place of the good guys, but Jim Hawkins slips away, and because he has earlier met in part 3, he met this man called Ben Gunn, and he's someone who's we later found the treasure, but he was also been stranded on this island for a long time, and who has told him about the boat he has constructed. So Hawkins grabs the boat, and he goes to the ship where there are only a couple of pirates left, and one kills the other, and we get to meet the survivor Hans, and there's some place that they might be allies, Jim Hawkins and Hans, but they get eventually into a death match, and Jim Hawkins wins. He throws the body of Hans into the water, and then he takes the ship to shore to a specific place. And at the end of that, he stumbles upon the pirates by accident when he goes back to the cabin, and none of the good guys are there. And in part 6, we get to see that Silver is switching sides, and he wants just in exchange that there's favorable testimony towards him when there's in court, but he's maybe switches side multiple times, and we get to see that later that the good guys are mostly alive. So you got that five people are alive of the good guys, and they go to find the treasure, the bad guys, the pirates, along with Jim Hawkins. And when they discover that it's no longer there, and Silver and Hawkins start retreating slowly, and the other pirates try to pursue, but a couple are killed, and the last 3 run away. So they had also made a plan with the Doctor to have reinforcements to back up. So now they are assembled, the good guys, which includes now Silver, weirdly enough, and they take the ship and go away, and they leave 3 men with some resources, the 3 pirates left there with some resources to live. And they actually go to Latin America because the waves are safer there, and because they've been previously on the Skeleton Island, which they never want to return to. And then in Mexico, Long Silver, he escapes, and Ben Gunn actually let him. And then we get to learn the fates of each of the characters. So you got Alexander Smollett, he retires, and then Ben Gunn, he spends the money of his treasure very fast because they've all shared the treasure. And only 5 good guys were left, and in total there were only 9 survivors of the crew of 26. So yeah, a special read. So how would I rate Treasure Island? So this is one of these old books, so the nickname classics, and I would rate this 7 out of 10. So it's much better than Lord of the Flies, and maybe it's boring sometimes, but it's still decent book, 7 out of 10. But it's not that good as Journey to the Center of the Earth, and it's a bit longer than it, nothing wrong with that. But I prefer Journey to the Center of the Earth. It's just like this Journey to the Center of the Earth, while Treasure Island is nothing really happens in large part of the book. So it's Lord of the Flies, but not as an extreme situation. So yeah, I rate this as a decent book, 7 out of 10. So Robert Louis Stevenson, you wrote a decent book, and this is from the 1800s. So this was the Avid Reader's review of Treasure Island, written by Robert Louis Stevenson in 1883. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I will see you guys next time.